Hello friends, this is part 3 of the rabies video. In this we will discuss the prevention of rabies.
Prevention of rabies. Post exposure prophylaxis. Since there is no effective therapy for rabies, it is extremely important to prevent the disease after an animal exposure. On the basis of the exposure history and local epidemiologic information, the physician must decide whether initiation of PEP is warranted. Healthy dogs, cats, or ferrets may be confined and observed for 10 days. PEP is not necessary if the animal remains healthy. If the animal develops signs of rabies during the observation period, it should be euthanized immediately. The head should be transported to the laboratory under refrigeration. Rabies virus should be sought by DFA testing, and viral isolation should be attempted by cell culture and/or mouse inoculation. Any animal other than a dog, cat, or ferret should be euthanized immediately and the head submitted for laboratory examination. In high risk exposures and in areas where canine rabies is endemic, rabies prophylaxis should be initiated without waiting for laboratory results. If the laboratory results prove to be negative, it may safely be concluded that the animal's saliva did not contain rabies virus and immunization should be discontinued. If an animal escapes after an exposure, it must be considered rabid and PEP must be initiated unless information from public health officials indicates otherwise. That is, there is no endemic rabies in the area. Although controversial, the use of PEP may be warranted when a person, example a small child or a sleeping adult, has been present in the same space as a bat and an unrecognized bite cannot be reliably excluded. PEP includes local wound care and both active and passive immunization. It is important that current recommendations are followed very closely because minor deviations can lead to failure of prophylactic measures. Local wound care is essential and may greatly decrease the risk of rabies virus infection. Wound care should not be delayed even if the initiation of immunization is postponed pending the results of the 10-day observation period. All bite wounds and scratches should be washed thoroughly with soap and water. Devitalized tissues should be debrided, tetanus prophylaxis given, and antibiotic treatment initiated whenever indicated. Previously unvaccinated persons, but not those who have previously been immunized, should be passively immunized with rabies immunoglobulin. If RIG is not immediately available, it should be administered no later than 7 days after the first vaccine dose. After day 7, endogenous antibodies are being produced and passive immunization may actually be counterproductive. If anatomically feasible, the entire dose of RIG, 20 international unit per kg, should be infiltrated at the site of the bite and any RIG remaining after infiltration of the bite site should be administered IM at a distant site. Recent recommendations by the World Health Organization indicate that under certain circumstances, the remainder of the dose does not need to be administered after local infiltration of the wound. With multiple or large wounds, the RIG preparation may need to be diluted in order to obtain a sufficient volume for adequate infiltration of all wound sites. If the exposure involves a mucous membrane, the entire dose should be administered IM. Rabies vaccine and RIG should never be administered at the same site or with the same syringe. Commercially available RIG in the United States is purified from the serum of hyperimmunized human donors. These human RIG preparations are much better tolerated than are the equine-derived preparations still in use in some countries. Serious adverse effects of human RIG are uncommon. Local pain and low-grade fever may occur. Two purified inactivated rabies vaccines are available for rabies PEP in the United States. They are highly immunogenic and remarkably safe compared with earlier vaccines. 4 1 ml doses of rabies vaccine should be given IM in the deltoid area. The anterolateral aspect of the thigh also is acceptable in children. Gluteal injections, which may not always reach muscle, should not be given and have been associated with rare vaccine failures. Ideally, the first dose should be given as soon as possible after exposure. Failing that, it should be given without further delay. The 3 additional doses should be given on days 3, 7, and 14. A 5th dose on day 28 is no longer recommended. Pregnancy is not a contraindication for immunization. Glucocorticoids and other immunosuppressive medications may interfere with the development of active immunity and should not be administered during PEP unless they are essential. Routine measurement of serum neutralizing antibody titers is not required, but titers should be measured 2 to 4 weeks after immunization in immunocompromised persons. Local reactions, pain, erythema, edema, and pruritus, and mild systemic reactions, fever, myalgias, headache, and nausea are common. Anti-inflammatory and antipyretic medications may be used, but immunization should not be discontinued. Systemic allergic reactions are uncommon, but anaphylaxis does occur rarely and can be treated with epinephrine and antihistamines. The risk of rabies development should be carefully considered before the decision is made to discontinue vaccination because of an adverse reaction. Most of the burden of rabies PAP is borne by persons with the fewest resources. In addition to the rabies vaccines discussed above, vaccines grown in either primary cell lines, hamster or dog kidney, or continuous cell lines, vero cells, are satisfactory and are available in many countries outside the United States. Less expensive vaccines derived from neural tissues are still used in a diminishing number of developing countries. However, these vaccines are associated with serious neuroparalytic complications, including post-infectious encephalomyelitis and Guillain-Barré syndrome. The use of these vaccines should be discontinued as soon as possible, and progress has been made in this regard. Worldwide, more than 10 million individuals receive post-exposure rabies vaccine each year. If human RIG is unavailable, purified equine RIG can be used in the same manner at a dose of 40 international units per kg. The incidence of anaphylactic reactions and serum sickness has been low with recent equine RIG products. Pre-exposure rabies vaccination. Pre-exposure rabies prophylaxis should be considered for people with an occupational or recreational risk of rabies exposures and also for certain travelers to rabies endemic areas. The primary schedule consists of 3 doses of rabies vaccine given on days 0, 7 and 21 or 28. Serum neutralizing antibody tests help determine the need for subsequent booster doses. When a previously immunized individual is exposed to rabies, 2 booster doses of vaccine should be administered on days 0 and 3. Wound care remains essential. As stated above, RIG should not be administered to previously vaccinated persons.
Thank you for watching the video.